Hey, Force Fiction fans! Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the Star Wars universe with original stories that reimagine the saga. Today we're exploring a thrilling what-if scenario. What if Padmé Amidala turned Anakin Skywalker back from the dark side before his fateful fall? Get ready for an epic tale of love, redemption, and galaxy-shaping battles, packed with intense duels, political intrigue, and the power of the Force. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our community of Star Wars storytellers. Let's jump into this adventure. May the Force be with you. The Coruscant skyline shimmered under the weight of twilight, its spires casting long shadows across the Senate district. Padmé Amidala stood in her apartment, her hands clasped tightly, gazing out at the endless streams of speeders weaving through the city. Her heart was heavy, burdened by a truth she could no longer ignore. Anakin Skywalker, her husband, was slipping into darkness. The Clone Wars had taken their toll on the galaxy, but none more so than on Anakin. His once bright spirit, full of hope and defiance, had grown shadowed. Nightmares plagued him, visions of Padmé's death, of loss, of powerlessness. She had seen the fear in his eyes, and the desperation that drove him to seek answers in places he should not. The Jedi Council's mistrust, the Senate's corruption, and the endless war had worn him down. And now, whispers of a darker influence had reached her ears. Padmé had learned of Anakin's secret meetings with Chancellor Palpatine, the man who had become a mentor to her husband. She had always respected Palpatine's political acumen, but something about his influence over Anakin felt wrong, like a venom seeping into his soul. The Jedi had grown suspicious too, though they shared little with her. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin's former master, had visited her earlier that day, his face etched with worry. "Padmé," Obi-Wan had said, his voice low, "Anakin is in danger. Not from the war, but from himself. I fear he is being manipulated, drawn into something dark." She had pressed him for details, but Obi-Wan had been evasive, bound by the Jedi Code and his loyalty to Anakin. Yet his words had confirmed her fears. Anakin was changing, and if she did not act, she might lose him forever. Now as the stars began to pierce the indigo sky, Padmé made her decision. She would confront Anakin tonight, before he left for his next mission. She would reach the man she loved, the hero who had saved her on Naboo, the father of the child she carried. She would pull him back from the edge. The door to the apartment hissed open, and Anakin stepped inside. His presence filled the room, a storm of energy barely contained. His Jedi robes were disheveled, his hair tousled, and his eyes, those piercing blue eyes, burned with a restless intensity. He smiled when he saw her, but it was a fragile thing masking the turmoil within. "Padmé," he said, crossing the room to embrace her. "I didn't expect you to be awake." She returned his embrace, holding him tightly as if she could anchor him to the light. "I couldn't sleep," she murmured. "Anakin, we need to talk." His body tensed, but he nodded, stepping back to meet her gaze. "What's wrong?" Padmé took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "I'm worried about you. You've been distant, angry. I know the war has been hard, but it's more than that. I've seen how you look at the Jedi, at the Senate. I've heard about your meetings with the Chancellor. Anakin, what's happening to you?" His expression darkened, and for a moment she feared he would shut her out, but then he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You don't understand, Padmé. The Jedi don't trust me. They keep secrets, hold me back. The Council. They're blind to what's really happening. The Republic is falling apart, and they do nothing." "And the Chancellor?" she pressed gently. "What does he offer you that the Jedi don't?" Anakin hesitated, his jaw tightening. "He sees my potential. He believes in me. He's shown me things, Padmé, ways to protect what matters most, to protect you." Her heart ached at his words. She stepped closer, placing a hand on his cheek. "Anakin, I don't need protecting. I need you. The real you, not the person Palpatine is trying to shape you into." His eyes flashed with anger, but it was fleeting, replaced by a flicker of doubt. "You think he's manipulating me?" "I think he's using your fear," she said softly. "Your fear of losing me, of losing control. But you don't need to become someone else to keep me safe. You're enough, Anakin. You've always been enough." For a moment silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Then Anakin turned away, pacing the room like a caged animal. "You don't know what I've seen," he said, his voice low. "In my dreams, you die, Padmé. I can't let that happen. I won't." She followed him, grabbing his arm to stop his pacing. "Listen to me. Those dreams aren't real. They're fears, not truths. But if you let them control you, if you let Palpatine twist your heart, you'll lose yourself, and that will destroy us both." Anakin stared at her, his breathing uneven. She could see the war within him, the pull of the dark, the whisper of power battling the love he held for her. She had to reach him now, before the darkness won. Padme led Anakin to the couch, sitting beside him, her hand never leaving his. She spoke of their past, of the moments that had defined them, the quiet nights on Naboo, the laughter they shared, the vows they had made in secret. She reminded him of the boy who had dreamed of freeing slaves, the man who had risked everything to save her from assassins. She spoke of their unborn child, a future they could build together. "You're not alone in this," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "You have me. You have Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, the Jedi. We believe in you, Anakin. Don't let Palpatine make you think you need him." Anakin's hands trembled as he listened, his eyes fixed on the floor. "He promised me power," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Power to save you, to end the war, to fix everything that's broken." "And at what cost?" Padme asked. "What is he asking you to become?" "Anakin, I've seen what power does to people. It corrupts, it destroys. The man I love doesn't need power to be great. He's great because of his heart." Her words struck deep, and Anakin's defenses began to crumble. He looked at her, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'm scared, Padme. Scared of losing you. Scared of failing. The Jedi. They don't understand. They tell me to let go, but I can't. I love you too much." She cupped his face in her hands, forcing him to meet her gaze. "Love isn't a weakness, Anakin. It's your strength. But you have to trust it. Trust us. If you walk down this path with Palpatine, you'll lose everything you're trying to protect. I know you can feel it." He closed his eyes, his breath hitching. He's shown me things. The dark side. It's strong, Padme. It calls to me. I don't know if I can resist it." "You can," she said fiercely, "because you're Anakin Skywalker. You're the chosen one, not because of power, but because of who you are. Fight for that. Fight for us." For a long moment, neither spoke. The weight of her words settled over them, a lifeline thrown into the storm of his soul. Then slowly, Anakin reached for her, pulling her into his arms. He buried his face in her shoulder, his body shaking with silent sobs. "I don't want to lose you," he whispered. "I don't want to become him." "You won't," Padme said, holding him tightly. "I'm here. I'll always be here." They stayed like that for hours, talking, crying, rebuilding the trust that had frayed under the weight of war and doubt. Anakin confessed everything. Palpatine's manipulations, the promises of the Sith, the visions that tormented him. Padme listened, her heart breaking for the pain he carried, but also swelling with hope. He was opening up to her, letting her in. The darkness was still there, but it no longer held him alone. By dawn, Anakin had made his choice. He would confront Palpatine, not as a disciple, but as a Jedi. He would expose the Chancellor's true nature and end his influence over the Republic, but he could not do it alone. "I need to tell Obi-Wan," Anakin said, his voice resolute, "and the Council. They need to know what Palpatine is." Padme nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "I'll help you. We'll do this together." The next day, Anakin and Padme met with Obi-Wan in secret, away from the prying eyes of the Jedi Temple. The meeting took place in a nondescript safe house in Coruscant's lower levels, a place where even the Chancellor's spies would struggle to find them. Obi-Wan listened as Anakin recounted everything. Palpatine's offers, the revelations of the Sith, the seductive pull of the dark side. To his credit, Obi-Wan did not judge or reprimand. He simply listened, his expression a mix of relief and concern. "Oh, I should have seen it sooner," Obi-Wan said when Anakin finished. "Palpatine has been playing us all. If he's truly a Sith Lord, he's more dangerous than we imagined." "We need proof," Padme said. "The Senate won't act without evidence, and the Jedi Council will need more than Anakin's word to move against the Chancellor." Anakin nodded. "I can get it. Palpatine trusts me. He thinks I'm his apprentice. If I can get him to reveal himself, to admit what he is, we can expose him." Obi-Wan frowned. "It's risky, Anakin. If he suspects you're deceiving him, he could turn on you." I know, Anakin said, his jaw set, but I have to do this. For the Republic, for Padme, for myself. Padme reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. We'll be with you, Anakin. You won't face him alone. Over the next few hours, the three devised a plan. Anakin would meet with Palpatine, feigning loyalty to draw out a confession. Obi-Wan would lead a small team of Jedi, Mace Windu, Yoda, and Kit Fisto, to monitor the meeting from a distance, ready to intervene if needed. Padmé, meanwhile, would work with her allies in the Senate, including Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, to prepare for the political fallout. If Palpatine was exposed as a Sith, the Republic would face a crisis unlike any in its history. As they finalized their plan, Anakin felt a flicker of the old fire within him, the courage, the determination that has made him a hero of the Clone Wars. But this time, it was tempered by something new, humility. He was no longer fighting for glory or power, but for redemption, for the chance to be the man Padmé believed he could be. The Chancellor's office was a place of shadows, its red and black decor a stark contrast to the bright lights of Coruscant beyond. Palpatine sat behind his desk, his hands folded, a faint smile playing on his lips as Anakin entered. To the untrained eye, he was the kindly leader of the Republic, a man burdened by the weight of war. But Anakin saw him now for what he was, Darth Sidious, the puppet master pulling the strings of the galaxy. You seem troubled, my young friend, Palpatine said, his voice smooth as silk. What weighs on your mind? Anakin took a deep breath, steeling himself. He had to play the part to convince Palpatine he was still under his sway. I've been thinking about what you said, he began, his tone hesitant. About the Jedi, about power. I want to protect those I love, but the Jedi keep holding me back. I need more, Chancellor. I need what you can teach me. Palpatine's smile widened, a glint of triumph in his yellowed eyes. You are wise to see the truth, Anakin. The Jedi are fools, clinging to their outdated ways. But you have the potential to surpass them all, to become greater than any Jedi or Sith. Anakin leaned forward, his voice low. You've spoken of the dark side, of its power, but how do I know it's enough? How do I know I can trust you? The Chancellor's expression shifted, a hint of amusement in his gaze. Trust is earned, my boy. Let me show you. Palpatine rose from his chair, moving to the center of the room. With a wave of his hand, the lights dimmed, and a hologram flickered to life. A vision of the galaxy, its stars swirling in a cosmic dance. The dark side is not merely power, he said, his voice taking on a hypnotic cadence. It is control. It is destiny. With it you can shape the future, bend it to your will. You can save your wife, end the war, bring order to the chaos. Anakin's heart pounded, but he kept his expression eager, hungry. Show me, he said. Prove it. Palpatine's eyes gleamed, and he extended a hand. A surge of dark energy crackled through the air, a wave of cold that made Anakin's skin prickle. Kneel! Palpatine commanded, his voice no longer kind but commanding, the voice of a Sith Lord. Pledge yourself to me, and I will make you, Darth Vader, my apprentice. Together we will rule the galaxy. This was it, the moment they needed. Anakin hesitated as if torn, then shook his head. No, he said, his voice firm. I won't become your pawn. You're not my savior, Palpatine. You're a Sith, and I know what you've done. Palpatine's face twisted into a snarl, all pretense gone. Foolish boy, he hissed. You think you can defy me? I made you. Without me, you are nothing. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, its blue blade humming in the dim light. You're wrong, he said. I'm more than you'll ever understand. The doors to the office burst open, and Mace Windu, Yoda, and Kit Fisto stormed in, their lightsabers ignited. Palpatine's snarl became a laugh, cold and mocking. So, the Jedi think they can challenge me? You are all doomed. The battle that followed was chaos. Palpatine unleashed a torrent of force lightning, forcing the Jedi to deflect it with their blades. Anakin fought at their side, his movements precise, fueled by a clarity he had not felt in years. But Palpatine was a force of nature, his power overwhelming. Kit Fisto fell first, struck down by a vicious slash of the Sith Lord's crimson blade. Mace and Yoda pressed the attack, but even they struggled against Sidious's ferocity. Anakin saw his chance. As Palpatine focused on Yoda, he lunged, aiming not to kill but to disarm. His blade caught Palpatine's, locking them in a struggle. "This ends now," Anakin growled. "Your lies are finished!" Palpatine's eyes burned with hatred, but before he could respond, Mace Windu struck, his purple blade severing the Chancellor's hand. Palpatine screamed, collapsing to his knees, his lightsaber clattering to the floor. "Enough!" Yoda said, his voice heavy with authority. "Surrender! You must!" Palpatine glared at them, his chest heaving, but he was defeated. For now. The Jedi bound him with force-suppressing cuffs, and Anakin stepped back, his heart pounding. They had done it. They had stopped the Sith Lord. In the days that followed, the galaxy reeled from the revelation of Palpatine's true identity. Padmé and her allies in the Senate worked tirelessly to stabilize the Republic, exposing the Chancellor's corruption and rallying support for reform. The Jedi, though shaken by the battle and the loss of Kit Fisto, began to rebuild, their trust in Anakin restored. Anakin himself was changed. The darkness that had once threatened to consume him was gone, replaced by a quiet strength. He and Padme prepared for the birth of their child, dreaming of a future where the galaxy could heal. Obi-Wan, ever the loyal friend, stood by them, proud of the man Anakin had become, but the shadow of the Sith lingered. Palpatine was imprisoned, but his influence had spread far, and whispers of loyalists plotting his return reached the Jedi. The war was not over, and Anakin knew he would face new challenges. For now, though, he stood with Padme on the balcony of their apartment, watching the sunrise over Coruscant. "We did it," he said, his arm around her. "We stopped him." She smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "You did it, Anakin. You chose the light." He kissed her forehead, his heart full. "I chose you," he said, "and I always will." The air in Coruscant was thick with tension, even months after Palpatine's fall. The Senate chambers buzzed with debates over reform, reconstruction, and the lingering threat of separatist holdouts. Padmé Amidala, now visibly pregnant, navigated the political maelstrom with her characteristic grace, working alongside Senators Bail Organa and Mon Mothma to dismantle Palpatine's web of corruption. Yet despite their progress, a sense of unease hung over the galaxy. The Sith Lord's defeat had not ended the war, only shifted its battle lines. Anakin Skywalker stood at the edge of the Jedi Temple's meditation chamber, gazing out at the cityscape. His blue lightsaber hung at his side, a symbol of the path he had chosen to reclaim. The battle in Palpatine's office had changed him. He was no longer the brash, reckless knight of the Clone Wars, but a man tempered by humility and love. Padme's faith had pulled him back from the abyss, and now, as they awaited the birth of their child, he was determined to build a future worthy of her trust. But peace was fragile. Reports of unrest trickled in from the Outer Rim, and separatist remnants, rogue warlords, and whispers of a shadowy cult loyal to the Sith. Palpatine's imprisonment in a high-security facility on Coruscant had not silenced his influence. His loyalists, hidden in the Senate, the military, and even among the Jedi's allies, were plotting to free him. The Jedi Council, led by Yoda and Mace Windu, had tasked Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi with rooting out these threats, a mission that tested Anakin's resolve daily. Obi-Wan approached, his robes swishing softly against the polished floor. "You're brooding again," he said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "It's unbecoming of a Jedi." Anakin chuckled, though it lacked his old fire. "Just thinking, Master. The galaxy's still a mess, and I can't shake the feeling we missed something. Palpatine's too quiet. It's not like him." Obi-Wan's expression grew serious. "I share your concern. The Council has received reports of a group calling themselves the Sith Eternal. They're fanatics, devoted to Palpatine's vision. We don't know their numbers or their plans, but they're dangerous." Anakin's jaw tightened. "Then we find them. We end this before it spreads." Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. "Patience, Anakin. You've proven yourself, but this fight will require more than strength. You must trust the Force, and those around you." Anakin nodded, his thoughts drifting to Padme. She was his anchor, but her work in the Senate kept her in the crosshairs of Palpatine's loyalists. He had vowed to protect her, but he knew she would never shy away from danger. That was the woman he loved, and it both filled him with pride and kept him awake at night. The first sign of trouble came on Alderaan. Padme had traveled there with Bail Organa to negotiate aid for war-torn systems, a mission meant to strengthen the Republic's fragile alliances. Anakin, assigned to protect her, accompanied the delegation, his senses on high alert. The planet's serene beauty, its rolling hills and crystal lakes, belied the danger lurking in the shadows. During a diplomatic banquet, a cloaked figure slipped into the Alderaanian palace, moving with lethal precision. Anakin sensed the disturbance in the Force moments before the attack. A thermal detonator rolled into the hall, its red light blinking ominously. Acting on instinct, he threw himself forward, using the Force to hurl the device through a window. It exploded harmlessly in the air, but the chaos that followed was immediate. Black-robed assassins, their faces hidden behind masks etched with Sith runes, stormed the hall. Their vibroblades gleamed as they cut through the guards. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, its blue blade a beacon in the dim light. "Padme, stay back!" he shouted, deflecting a flurry of blaster bolts. Padme, never one to cower, drew a blaster from her robes and fired with deadly accuracy, downing one of the attackers. "I'm not helpless, Anakin," she called, her voice steady despite the danger. The assassins were skilled, their movements enhanced by dark side energy. Anakin fought with controlled fury, his blade a blur as he parried and struck. He sensed their connection to the Sith, a twisted echo of Palpatine's power. These were no ordinary mercenaries, they were the Sith Eternal, fanatics trained to serve their imprisoned master. As the last assassin fell, Anakin rushed to Padme's side. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his eyes scanning her for injuries. "I'm fine," she said, though her face was pale. "But this wasn't random. They were targeting me." Bail Organa, shaken but unharmed, joined them. "They left this," he said, holding up a data card emblazoned with a Sith symbol. "It's a message." Anakin took the card and activated it. A hologram flickered to life, revealing a hooded figure with a voice distorted by static. "The Sith will rise again," it intoned. "Release Lord Sidious, or the Republic will burn. This is only the beginning." The hologram faded, leaving a heavy silence. Anakin's grip tightened on his lightsaber. "They're trying to force our hand," he said. "They want us to panic, to make a mistake." Padme's eyes hardened. "We need to find them before they strike again. If they're this bold, they have resources and allies." Anakin nodded, his mind racing. The Sith Eternal were a new kind of enemy, one that thrived in the shadows. To defeat them, he would need to confront not just their blades, but the lingering doubts within himself. Palpatine's voice still echoed in his mind, a whisper of the dark side as he had rejected. He had chosen the light, but the temptation was never truly gone. Back on Coruscant, the Jedi Council convened an emergency session. Yoda's wizened face was grave as he addressed the gathered Jedi. "A grave threat, the Sith Eternal pose," he said. "Guided by Sidious's will, they are. Destroy them we must, before their darkness spreads." Mace Windu leaned forward, his gaze fixed on Anakin. "Skywalker, you face Sidious directly. You know his methods. We believe the Sith Eternal are operating from a hidden stronghold, possibly in the Outer Rim. You and Obi-Wan will lead a task force to find it." Anakin inclined his head. "I'm ready, Master Windu, but we need to protect the Senate. Padme's a target, and they'll use her to get to me." "Protected Senator Amidala will be," Yoda assured him. "But focus on the mission. You must. Trust in the Force." Padme, present as a liaison to the Senate, spoke up. "I can help. My contacts in the intelligence network have been tracking separatist movements. There's a pattern, shipments of weapons and credits funneling to Mustafar. It could be their base." Anakin's stomach twisted at the mention of Mustafar. In his nightmares, he had seen himself burning on its lava fields, consumed by the dark side. The Force was guiding him there, he was sure, but whether to heal or to test him, he could not say. Obi-Wan noticed his unease. "We'll face this together, Anakin," he said quietly. "You're not alone." The mission was set. Anakin and Obi-Wan, joined by a small team of Jedi, including Ahsoka Tano, who had returned to aid the Order, would infiltrate Mustafar. Padme, despite Anakin's protests, insisted on contributing from Coruscant, coordinating with Republic intelligence to disrupt the Sith Eternal's network. As they parted, Anakin pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. "Be careful," he whispered. "I can't lose you." "You won't," she said, her voice fierce. "Come back to me, Anakin, for us." He kissed her, a promise sealed in the light of their love, then boarded the ship with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. As Coruscant faded into the stars, Anakin felt the weight of his destiny pressing down. This was his chance to end Palpatine's legacy, to prove he was more than the Sith Lord's pawn. Mustafar was a world of fire and ash, its molten rivers casting an eerie glow across the jagged landscape. The Jedi strike team landed under cover of darkness, their ship concealed in a volcanic crater. Anakin's senses were on edge, the dark side's presence thick in the air. This was a place of pain, a crucible where the Force's balance hung in the balance. Ahsoka scouted ahead, her dual lightsabers at the ready. "I've got a bad feeling about this," she muttered, her Togruta senses picking up faint disturbances. "There's something alive here, watching us." Obi-Wan nodded. "Stay sharp. The Sith Eternal won't make this easy." Their target was a fortified complex carved into a obsidian cliff, its spires bristling with defenses. Republic intelligence, guided by Padme's efforts, had confirmed it as the Sith Eternal's stronghold. Inside, they would find the cult's leaders, and Anakin suspected, answers about Palpatine's lingering influence. The team infiltrated the complex, bypassing patrols and disabling security systems with Ahsoka's slicer skills. But as they reached the central chamber, they were ambushed. Sith Eternal warriors, clad in black armor and wielding red lightsabers, poured from hidden alcoves. Their leader, a towering figure in a horned mask, stepped forward, his voice dripping with malice. "You cannot stop the Sith's return," he declared. "Lord Sidious's will is eternal." Anakin ignited his lightsaber, his stance resolute. "Your master is finished. This ends here." The battle was brutal. The Sith Eternal fought with fanatical zeal, their dark side powers amplifying their strength. Ahsoka danced through the fray, her blades a whirlwind, while Obi-Wan's precise strikes countered their aggression. Anakin fought at the center, his connection to the Force deeper than ever. He drew on the light, not the anger that had once fueled him, and it gave him clarity. As the last warriors fell, the masked leader charged Anakin, his red blade crackling with energy. Their duel was fierce, the clash of lightsabers echoing through the chamber. Anakin sensed the leader's desperation, his blind devotion to a lost cause. And with a final deft maneuver, he disarmed the man, sending his lightsaber skittering across the floor. "Who are you?" Anakin demanded, his blade at the leader's throat. The man laughed, a hollow sound. "I am nothing. The Sith are everything. You'll see. He's coming for you." Before Anakin could press further, the leader activated a hidden device, triggering an explosion that rocked the complex. The Jedi barely escaped as the structure began to collapse, molten rock raining down. They reached their ship and fled Mustafar, but the leader's words haunted Anakin. "He's coming for you." Back on Coruscant, Padme's intelligence network uncovered the Sith Eternal's endgame, a plot to free Palpatine during his transfer to a maximum security prison on Belsavis. The cult had infiltrated the Republic's security forces, planting operatives to stage an ambush. With time running out, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka raced to intercept the transport. Padme, now in the final weeks of her pregnancy, insisted on joining the command center, coordinating with Republic forces. Anakin protested, but she was adamant. "This is our fight, Anakin," she said. "I won't sit idly by while you risk everything." The ambush came in the asteroid fields of the Belsavis system. Sith Eternal ships, cloaked by stolen Separatist technology, attacked the transport convoy. Anakin and Obi-Wan led a squadron of Jedi starfighters, engaging the enemy in a dizzying dogfight. Ahsoka boarded the transport to secure Palpatine, her lightsabers flashing as she cut through cultist infiltrators. In the chaos, Palpatine's voice echoed through the Force, taunting Anakin. "You cannot escape me, Skywalker. The dark side is your destiny." Anakin gritted his teeth, shutting out the Sith Lord's lies. He focused on the light, Padme's love, their unborn child, the hope of a better galaxy. His piloting was flawless, his connection to the Force guiding every move. The Jedi and Republic forces overwhelmed the Sith Eternal, destroying their ships and securing the transport. But the true test came aboard the prison ship. Palpatine, freed from his cuffs by a traitorous guard, unleashed his full power. Lightning crackled from his fingertips, forcing Obi-Wan and Ahsoka back. Anakin faced him alone, his lightsaber raised. "You're weak," Palpatine sneered, his yellow eyes gleaming. "You rejected true power for sentiment. You will fall, just as you were meant to." Anakin's voice was steady. "I'm not your pawn anymore. I choose my own path." The duel was unlike any Anakin had fought. Palpatine's mastery of the dark side was overwhelming, his strikes fueled by centuries of Sith knowledge. But Anakin fought not for himself, but for those he loved, Every parry, every counter was a rejection of the darkness that had once tempted him. He drew on the Force's light, its warmth filling him with strength. As Palpatine lunged, Anakin saw an opening. With a surge of the Force, he disarmed the Sith Lord, sending his lightsaber flying. Palpatine snarled, raising his hands to unleash another torrent of lightning, but Anakin was faster. He tackled the Sith Lord, pinning him to the ground, his blade at Palpatine's throat. "This is over," Anakin said, his voice calm but unyielding. "Your reign ends here." Palpatine's laughter was cut short as Obi-Wan and Ahsoka arrived, binding him with reinforced cuffs. The Sith Lord's eyes burned with hatred, but he was defeated, truly defeated this time. With Palpatine secured on Belsavas, the Sith Eternal's network collapsed. Padme's intelligence efforts exposed their operatives, and Republic forces dismantled their remaining cells. The Clone Wars, already waning, drew to a close as Separatist leaders surrendered, inspired by the Republic's renewed unity. Anakin returned to Coruscant a hero, but he cared little for the accolades. His focus was on Padme, who gave birth to twins, Luke and Leia, shortly after the battle. Holding his children for the first time, Anakin felt a peace he had never known. The nightmares that had plagued him were gone, replaced by a vision of hope. The Jedi Order, too, began to change. Yoda and Mace Windu, recognizing the flaws that had blinded them to Palpatine's rise, embraced reforms. Anakin, no longer bound by the strictures of the old code, was granted permission to remain with Padme and their children, a symbol of a new era for the Jedi. Padme continued her work in the Senate, her voice a beacon for justice and unity. Together, she and Anakin dreamed of a galaxy where their children could grow up free from war and fear. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, ever their allies, stood by them ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the years passed, the Republic rebuilt, stronger and wiser. The Sith were a fading memory, their legacy buried with Palpatine's defeat. Anakin, once teetering on the edge of darkness, became a legend, not as the chosen one of prophecy, but as a man who chose love over power, light over shadow. On a quiet evening, Anakin and Padme stood on the balcony of their home in Naboo, watching Luke and Leia play in the gardens below. The stars above shone brightly, a reminder of the galaxy they had fought for. "We did it," Padme said, her hand in his. "We saved them." Anakin smiled, his heart full. "We saved each other," he said, and kissed her under the starlight. Decades later, Luke and Leia Skywalker would carry their parents' legacy forward, becoming leaders in their own right. The galaxy, though never free of strife, thrived under the principles Anakin and Padme had championed: love, trust, and the courage to choose the right path no matter the cost. And somewhere, in the Force, the balance was restored, not by prophecy, but by the choices of a man who dared to defy his destiny.